Welcome to True Story Testers. Does the 2022 Elvis movie stay true to the King of Rock and Roll's life story? When did his rise to stardom begin? How did he really meet his young wife Priscilla? Let's separate the fact from the fiction in 2022's Elvis. In the movie, we see Elvis Presley's future manager, Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks, making his way to the Louisiana Hayride in order to see a new up-and-coming singer. This white kid had caught people's attention for making the black-sounding record, That's All Right. It's here that Parker sees Elvis transform into a star, with his provocative dance moves and powerful charisma. This is clearly meant to be Presley's first appearance on the Hayride, which took place after his terrible appearance on Nashville's Grand Ole Opry in 1954, where a manager told the teenager's producer that his style did not suit the program. However, the true story of what then happened at the Hayride is arguably more interesting than its depiction in the film. Indeed, Elvis actually did 2 shows there in Louisiana. Apparently, during the first show, the future king of rock and roll was so anxious that the audience response to his performance was very lackluster, but after receiving some necessary motivation from producer Sam Phillips, Presley was much more relaxed during his second show and ended up delivering a great show. Contrary to what we see in the film, Hank's Colonel Parker wasn't actually present at that show, but would eventually see him at the Hayride a few months later. So, did the movie accurately depict Elvis Presley's show at the Louisiana Hayride? No. The movie portrays Elvis as being very sympathetic toward African American civil rights issues and suggests that this is connected to his profound appreciation of African American musical genres. Indeed, a whole bunch of Presley's records were covers of songs originally sung by African American singers, and so it makes sense that the film would emphasize this aspect of Presley's music. However, the film ends up ignoring many of the singer's other sources of inspiration. Indeed, Presley's influences were varied, and he drew from a diverse array of genres and styles. For example, Elvis was strongly influenced by anything from pop melodies to country tunes and gospel hymns. So, it's unfortunate that the Elvis movie doesn't explore all of these influences. Instead, the movie uses the traditional sound of country music in order to contrast with the modern sound of Elvis's rock music, thus diminishing the importance of all the other styles that went into his music. While it's definitely important to remember the African American influence on Elvis Presley's career, and it's necessary to place the singer in that context, both musically and politically, this has the effect of neglecting the influence of other genres that were just as important in the development of early rock and roll. So, did the movie do a good job of representing all of Elvis's musical influences? No. While the movie may present the beginnings of Elvis and Priscilla's relationship as innocent and romantic, there is a darker truth underlying this story. Indeed, the real Priscilla was actually only 14 years old when she first met the celebrity, but the actress who plays her in the film, Olivia de Jong, was 24 years old, which makes their relationship seem much less problematic than it was in real life. So, how did the two of them really meet, and how old was Elvis at the time? Elvis met Priscilla Beaulieu as he was serving in the military in Germany when he was 24 years old. The two first spoke at a party Elvis held at his home in Bad Nauheim, and he quickly began to pursue her romantically, despite the fact that Priscilla's parents didn't want their daughter to see him again at first because she came home late from the party. However, he was able to convince them to let him see her again, and the two then began their romantic relationship. After Elvis moved back to the US, the couple entered into a long-distance relationship, and Priscilla came to live with him in 1963, under the condition that she would attend Catholic school and that the two would eventually get married. Presley did end up proposing to the young woman in 1966, but some claim this was only because Priscilla's stepfather threatened legal action if he did not. Later in the movie, after their divorce, Priscilla is the one who urges Elvis to enter rehab. Indeed, she even tears up as she asks him to promise her that he will check into a recovery center after his upcoming show. However, this never happened. As Priscilla herself stated in her book, Elvis by the Presleys, Elvis was a very stubborn person, and an intervention probably wouldn't have helped him. Despite the fact that Priscilla continued to care about her ex-husband after their divorce, she never confronted him about going into rehab for his substance addiction. So, does the film truthfully depict the relationship of Elvis and Priscilla's? No. In the movie, Elvis Presley finds himself humiliated on The Steve Allen Show as he was requested to sing his song Hound Dog to a real dog while wearing a white tie and tails. This incident then becomes an important moment that motivates Presley to embrace his stage personage and controversial dance moves. But did this actually happen in real life? Indeed, Steve Allen did in fact ask Elvis Presley to sing his song to a basset hound on his show. However, it seems this was motivated in part by Allen's dislike of rock and roll, and also Presley's recent appearance on Milton Berle's show. On that show, Elvis had performed a much more sensational version of Hound Dog, which had everyone talking, and it seems that Allen was eager to avoid a similar outcome, and so decided to turn the song into a kind of joke. Afterwards, Elvis was also a part of a comedy sketch that poked fun at the rural southern places he grew up in. This sketch was not included in the movie, but undoubtedly contributed to the shame and humiliation Presley felt afterward. Indeed, Elvis would then go on to comment on this whole situation at his next show in Memphis, which took place only a few days after the incident. There, the singer stated that, "Those people in New York are not going to change me. I'm going to show you what the real Elvis is like tonight." And this line was included in the movie. So, did Elvis really sing a song to a dog on The Steve Allen Show? Yes. The movie depicts a shocking scene where Elvis Presley fires his manager, Colonel Parker, while on stage during his last international hotel show. But did this really happen? The scene appears to draw inspiration from Elvis's September 1973 show at the Las Vegas Hilton. This is stated explicitly, but in the film, the scene takes place at the International Hotel, which was sold to Hilton and later renamed. In fact, Elvis did actually become furious while on stage at the 1973 show. However, he began ranting about the hotel itself, not his manager. In reality, it was only after the show that Elvis and Parker got into an argument and the singer fired his manager. Of course, the movie does accurately depict the aftermath of the firing. Indeed, Parker sent Elvis a bill of $8 million, asking for reimbursement for all the money Parker had advanced Presley. Naturally, Elvis chose to rehire his manager instead of spying the bill. So, did Elvis really fire Colonel Parker while on stage? No. In a pivotal scene towards the end of the movie, the year is 1974, and Elvis Presley is approaching his 40th birthday. At the airport, the singer encounters his former wife, Priscilla Presley, and the two discuss the possibility of relaunching the star's movie career by starring in Barbra Streisand's A Star is Born. Expressing concerns about his legacy and the fear of fading from the public's memory, Elvis contemplates the idea but ultimately hesitates. However, what truly led to his decision to refuse this Hollywood comeback? In March 1975, Streisand and her husband, John Peters, attended one of Elvis's performances in Las Vegas. They approached him with the offer to star in a new adaptation of A Star is Born, proposing Elvis for the role of Norman Maine, a faded star whose wife rises to fame. Elvis, reportedly enthusiastic about the opportunity, faced opposition from his manager, Colonel Parker, who voiced concerns about the control Streisand and Peters would exert over Elvis's career. Streisand and Warner Bros. Extended a generous offer of $500,000 plus 10% of profits after breaking even. However, the Colonel countered with a demand of $1 million up front, along with other stipulations including song approval and a substantial share of profits. Unwilling to meet these demands, Streisand and Peters withdrew their offer and eventually cast Chris Christopherson in the role. Subsequently, the Colonel suggested that Elvis had deliberately inflated his demands to dissuade Streisand and Peters from proceeding with the deal. However, the veracity of this claim remains uncertain, as the true motivations behind the negotiation tactics employed by Colonel Parker are shrouded in mystery. So, was Elvis really offered a role in A Star is Born? Yes. In conclusion, while the movie sticks pretty closely to the events of the King of Rock and Roll's life, it does include small changes and embellishments that add some dramatic flair to the story and keep it from being a truly faithful retelling. That's all for this video examining the fact and fiction of Elvis. What was the most enjoyable part for you? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fascinating content exploring the difference between movies and reality.